Hey, thanks so much for downloading the episode. On the show today, we talk about human behavior in public. We also delve into our opinions about breastfeeding in public. You probably won't agree with us. Also, our Ugly and Awkward Moments of the Week, sponsored by lipandclip.com. Thanks so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
You know you're an asshole. You do this all the time.
Paula?
God forbid should you be nice to someone, then suddenly you're labeled with a scarlet letter.
Uncensored as always, it's time for the ugly truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. It is episode 298. Ugh!
Ugh. We are sisters who podcast.
Yes! Welcome to a new episode. There is so much to talk about. I was telling you before we started recording, I have like this laundry list of items that I'm just dying to talk to you about because I feel like we haven't really talked much since the last show. Which is weird because usually we are chatty, but you've been kind of off the grid a little bit, and so I haven't really had a chance to like bug you.
Yeah, I know.
I usually bug you, but anyway, you know when you're involved in social media, and then you go out into the real world, sometimes you recognize that okay, life might be scary in certain aspects of our world, but really life is just moving on. You know, in the United States, there's no war zones. Literally, no one's bombing our towns or anything like that. So, but what I have noticed, we're just continuing to move further and further away from the original humans, that we're just becoming worse and worse. Mm-hmm. I was on my way to my hair appointment, and there was a dude, just a normal-looking gentleman, standing on the corner getting ready to cross the street, and he stopped, shoved his nose in his armpit, and smelled it for a really long time.
Okay.
In public. And I'm like, okay, look, I'm not saying that we all don't do the body odor check, you know, when we're at home or in the bathroom or whatever, you know, but to stand there and do it. And then he adjusted his sleeve and they kept on going. And I was like, wow, you didn't even wipe your nose or nothing. You just shoved your nose and shoved your schnoz in your pit and kept on walking. And he was in like construction worker clothes. It wasn't like he was in a suit or anything. And he was like at least in his 30s.
I'd be like, dude, if you're by yourself and you get a whiff, it's you.
Well, not only that, but it's like a pit check at a four-way stoplight at a very busy street. You know? I mean, it wasn't exactly a quiet street. And I thought, wow, I guess we've just decided that we can say whatever we want online, and I guess apparently now we can just do whatever we want wherever we are. You know, there's just no filter when it comes to human behavior anymore. We're just going to lay it all out there. Anyway, so I'm on my way home from the hair appointment, and this is not as unusual, but it just kind of drove it home to me that people have completely just lost the ability to behave in public normally. There was a woman, not only was she not sitting up straight, she was kind of lounging across this bus bench. And she was gently picking her nose and looking at her phone. And I'm like, okay, what is happening? Why am I the only one that notices it, first of all? And second of all, why are you thinking that this is appropriate behavior? Like, were you raised by wolves? Like, what is this?
I'm curious, what the hell kind of neighborhood are you getting your hair cut in?
It's a nice neighborhood, but it's on my way home. I have to go through, you go through towns, but
you have to go through the projects? I mean, geez.
Seriously, people in the projects they're not sitting anywhere motionless. They are moving and they have a place to be. They aren't sitting ducks at a bus stop.
Right.
I mean, for real. No one in a bad part of town is hanging out anywhere for more than a few minutes. That's the truth. But seriously, I was like, wow, a man and a woman. It wasn't just a man. It was like both parties were behaving in a disgusting manner with no regard for their environment whatsoever. And I thought, God damn. Well, I guess all I can do is worry about myself and, not do that.
Keep your doors locked.
Seriously. Oh my God. Speaking of, this was about a week ago. Daryl and I, we checked the mail after the sun sets because it's so goddamn hot. And, the whole Western Hemisphere is covered in a blanket of smoke right now.
Right.
So we wait at night to go when it's a little bit cooler. And it was like 9:30. And we were walking, we walk, there's a little lane that we walk down. It's like a long ass driveway to the main street, you know.
Yeah.
And our mailboxes are on the main street. So we're walking, it's like a 20-yard walk. And so we're walking, and then we literally come face to face with a dude on a BMX. Now, I don't know about you, but there's something odd about a man in his late 20s, early 30s on a BMX bike.
He was on a dirt bike?
Well, you know, not a 10-speed. Just like a BMX bike, you know, one of those ones that kids ride. Anyway, there's something weird about seeing that, and it was nighttime, and he clearly he wasn't crazy, but he clearly did not have good intentions.
Well, he didn't belong in that neighborhood.
He did not belong in the neighborhood, and he was on our lane. So we literally walked, and see, here's the thing that I recognized about myself. When situations like that occur, because it's happened once before when I'm with Daryl, the fight or flight, I'm a fighter.
Yeah, me
I never
too.
run. Never. So I walked right towards him. I'm like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, who do I think I am? But I literally lose all fear, and I walk right up. It's so dangerous. But I can't help it. I'm not going to I just think about, you know, I've got a kid at my house, and I'm not letting you go any further. And it's just a weird reaction. And it was something that I recognized about myself after this incident. It took him off guard. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, does this not go through to the other side? I'm like, there's nothing here for you. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right, well, thanks. And he turned around, and Daryl was talking too. It wasn't like he was just standing there like a sap.
Yeah.
But I mean, he actually stood in front of me. Eventually, you know, he stood in front
after
of me.
After he caught up.
Right. After I said, hey. And so Daryl's like, you know, his instincts kick in to go, oh, dear Lord, Jamie's going to get shot.
Yeah, right.
He's like, all right. And so he took off. But he was obviously casing the neighborhood to see what's the what. And then, like, when we were walking towards the mailbox, and he turned around and looked at us. I'm like, oh, bring it on, asshole.
Yeah,
please.
right.
Please bring it on. I'd be happy
my
to
face
hit you.
in your brain.
Yeah, I'd be happy to pick up this rock and smash you with it. Like, I'm going to do anything. But still, it's crazy. But yeah, you have that same thing. You don't fly either. You and I both are like that. It's so weird too, because I never thought I was one of those people. But I am. I absolutely have no fear when I think I'm in danger, which is very strange. Anyway, I just thought it was strange how people are regressing to behavior that only toddlers and small children can get away with.
Yeah.
Now full adults. And I'm like, well, I guess all of these people had bad parents. And the thing is I would say it's a younger generation, but they're my age or younger, you know, just a smidge younger than me, and they're behaving like this. It's really crazy. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's true. We don't really hang out with anyone, and you know, I don't really go anywhere. So
yeah,
I haven't seen, but I mean, the times I have been out, I don't understand the people who drink to an oblivion.
Yeah.
That always gets to me, because I mean, you know, they're going to be hungover the next day, and you know, at some point they're going to throw up. And I just I've done that. I wouldn't say a lot of times.
I haven't. I've probably done it less than 10 times in my life.
Right.
Because it's just so awful.
But I've done it a handful of times to where I'm just like, I don't want to do this ever again.
I know.
And ultimately, you know, even when I was just casually drinking, you know, having a beer or something like that, and the next day I just still didn't feel right. And I'm just like, you know what, why am I even doing this? This is stupid. I mean, what am I going to trade my health for a Bud Light? That's dumb.
Bud Light.
That's what I used to like.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? I have no room to bitch or complain or make fun of you, because I used to drink Coors Light. So I know. And now, of course, with all the craft beers, Coors Light's like rehydrating. It's just not even anything.
I remember doing that at the bar. I'm like, wow, I'm getting pretty wasted. I better slow down and start drinking beer.
I have to tell you, though, of all the drunks that I've been, beer drunk is the funnest one.
Yeah.
For some reason. I'm always really happy when I'm beer drunk, and I sober up really fast, so I don't get hungover. When I've had a couple of beers, I feel great.
Yeah.
It's like the best. Not the craft beers. Those are really hardcore to me. But just a regular old, I don't know. I mean, I don't drink Budweiser, but something like that. You know, it's a really yummy feeling.
Yeah.
I like it personally, but I don't do it often because beer is so fattening, but I do love a good beer buzz. That's for sure. Okay, so this, in regard to feeding and children and all of that stuff, I read this article. This comes up pretty often. And, we're in a new world now where women are, they're getting it done and we can do whatever the hell we want. And so we're all very brazen and brave now with our lives, which is good. I am absolutely not criticizing. But this one thing, and I have to be honest with myself, it makes me like weird. And so I wanted to know what your opinion is. I have a feeling we don't agree per se, but I'm just curious. So there was a woman who was breastfeeding her baby at a restaurant.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up.
And someone told her to cover up. So she covered up her head and kept her boob exposed while she was feeding her baby. Now, the whole thing is there used to be a huge market for these very cute little cover-ups that you could put over your shoulder that would cover or conceal your breast, but wouldn't necessarily suffocate your baby. Or some women who were incredibly self-conscious would go to the bathroom, and there used to be a place in the bathroom where you could sit and, that wasn't connected to the toilet area. It was like a little lounge where you could feed your baby in privacy. And, it doesn't take long to breastfeed a child. It's not like a 2-hour ordeal.
I know everyone tells you it takes like 45 minutes or something. And I'm like, not really.
I don't think I ever, well, first of all, I did not breastfeed, but I knew people who did, and I've never seen a baby take 45 minutes to empty a boob ever.
No.
I mean, never. And if you let your baby just snack, we're talking 15 minutes, maybe 20. But anyway, my point is I'm like, I don't know if this is something I would take a stand in. I think I would cover up and never give anyone the opportunity to say, hey, I can see your breast. I know that it's natural. I realize it's the organic way to feed a child, but I don't know if I'm struggling because I know there's going to be women outraged by that opinion, but I don't know why it's such an insult to cover up in public if you're going to do it at the table. I'm sorry. I don't agree with the whole, it's natural. I can do whatever I want. I know you can, and I would never tell a woman to not. But I personally don't know what's wrong with a little modesty when it comes to it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Because I did breastfeed Olivia for 6 months. And so I was never comfortable just pulling out my boob and just letting her go to town.
Yeah.
And so I always either went to the bathroom or, I wasn't even comfortable sitting there with like a receiving blanket. Like,
oh, really?
No, because I knew everybody knew what I was doing. And it made me feel weird. But that was my conviction, and it wasn't. And people can say, well, that's society shaming you and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. I was just going to say that.
No, that's not. It's just me uncomfortable with having my breast out and
in public.
And they're fabulous, and I don't want anybody looking at them. And so that's kind of how I felt about it. So I would go. But the other thing, too, is when your baby's that little, at least for me, I didn't take her a ton of places,
No.
Maybe these are older babies. I don't know.
Well, the picture of the woman who covered up her head and let her breast be exposed at a table at a restaurant, and it wasn't a Denny's, by the way. It was probably a fairly nice restaurant.
Okay.
Where she's making her stand.
Right.
First of all, the one thing I do struggle with is it's not just you. Your baby is involved in this stand that you're taking. What if someone gets really outraged in this day and age and they're, how entitled people are? What if they come up and try to rip the baby off the boob or try to throw something at you? It's to me, it's a volatile situation to include an infant in, to make your stand on your right to expose your breast. Like I said, it's not like it's something where I would be like, oh, how dare her? Look at her just feeding her baby. I would never do that. That's not it at all. It's just, I honestly don't get it. I would never do it. And then I've seen this a million times. It's like, well, if you're so offended, why don't you go eat your meal in the bathroom? If you think that women should feed their babies meals in the restroom, then maybe you should go eat your dinner in the restroom. I'm like, it's not even the same thing. To me, it's not about that. I don't get it. I'm uncomfortable with my true feelings on the matter, which is I don't think that you should expose your breast in a public restaurant.
I don't think anyone should be exposing their breast unless they're at, like, an exotic zone ball or something like that, or you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's
I know.
And I'm with you. I'm kind of ashamed over my feelings about breastfeeding in public.
I think you can breastfeed in public. Just, can you put a thing over it? I mean, any kind of anything? I don't know.
But even then, it's like everybody knows what you're doing, and maybe that's my guilt, or my
right.
Like I said, is that I just feel like breastfeeding is something you should be ashamed of, or something like that. And
the thing on top of everything else, it's like, why do we even know about all of these stories? Because someone's taking a picture, someone's posting it on Facebook or Twitter, saying, "Look at how outraged everyone is at my boob." And
I was going to ask you, I have noticed an influx of breastfeeding pictures recently. I don't know if you have, but I have. And I'm like, are we back to this? Like, is this...
this is another hill we're going to die on?
Is this a regurgitation of, 2 years ago or whatever?
Yeah, because it was a big deal a couple of years ago. It's been a couple of months, but there was a woman who was breastfeeding her baby at Disneyland on a bench in like the main square. And of course, she just whipped it out and had her big old boob hanging out. And, babies don't cover the whole boob. They just take the nip, by the way. That's why they're called nips. And so the rest of her breast was exposed. And someone, and it's always a woman, said, "Hey, would it be so terrible for you to cover that shit up?" And she was outraged. So she took a picture and said, "Is this offensive to you?" And showed her, little nugget breastfeeding. And you can see people staring in the picture. It's not like, no one was affected by her, breast.
I mean, guys are always going to look, that.
And let me tell you something, men are pigs. They will go online and look at that shitty pregnant porn, the lactating bitches. I mean, they do that shit because they're disgusting. Not all, but they're thinking about sex when they see that.
Well, not even so much that. They just want to check everybody else's shit out.
They want to see the boob. And I've asked Daryl about that. I'm like, well, do you think, He always tries to like downplay. He's like, well, they're not as good as yours. I'm like, shut up. That's not what I'm saying. You want to see what other women's boobs look like. He's like, well, maybe. And I'm like, yeah, because you're a boob guy. You naturally, not people that you walk across, at Trader Joe's, but, when you see pictures like that, they're going, not bad, because they can completely look at that and not even think about the act that this baby is nursing. It's not even about that. And so to me, it's like, can we stop acting like just because you find this to be natural, and it is natural, but it isn't natural to have nudity in public, and it is pseudo nudity. And I know, oh my God, I know people are just like, it's like, women can do whatever they want. And I'm like, I know they can. I know, but can we get like a thin napkin, anything? Can we just try to remember a time when it was okay to be modest and it didn't mean we were infringing on your femininity or your, right to exist? Because that's not what this is.
Well, we are only expressing our opinions.
Absolutely.
And expressing them as if, we were breastfeeding.
But can you and I admit, though, that when we see a woman breastfeeding with no coverage, that it's uncomfortable?
For me personally, it is uncomfortable.
Me too. And it's one of those things, if we ever talked about abortion, which we never would, it's kind of on that line. It's like, I'm uncomfortable and I can't lie.
It's just one of those it's a taboo subject. It really is. Even if it's women's lib and all that stuff.
Women's lib. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing about breastfeeding is even if you cover them up, I felt guilty because I didn't think they could breathe under there. And so that's why I never did that. I usually just went somewhere private because I just didn't want they're only breathing through their little nostrils.
I know, they're so
it gets
small.
hot under there.
I know. I can remember my girlfriend was breastfeeding her baby and we were just sitting in her room.
Yeah.
And, and women, honestly, when you're breastfeeding, come on, you're quite hormonal when you're breastfeeding a baby. You're warm.
Yeah.
It's not like your normal self. And so she was a bit modest, and so she had a receiving blanket over her shoulder, and it just kind of caresses the baby's cheek. It's not like they're completely under this blanket, tented, but even so, that baby was probably halfway through feeding and it was sweaty. And I said, hey, I'm going to go get a glass of water and just do whatever I need to do so you can do this. I don't want you to cover up anymore. The baby's obviously sweaty, and I don't want to put you in a situation where you feel like you have to cover up. I've seen your boobs, but that's not the point.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is obviously, and it's an intimate, for a lot of women, it's a very intimate act to feed your baby. And so to me, it's like, I'm out. And she's like, okay. And she was so grateful, you know, so she can whip that thing off and go, I'm so sorry, honey. You know, it's like, you're so sweaty. So, I mean, I get it. So I would never, bathrooms are so different now. Back in the day, there was a lounge and you could sit on a little couch or whatever, but it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
They're like outhouses. So I understand the disdain of standing in a bathroom and breastfeeding. I wouldn't want to do that either.
It's unpleasant.
God forbid there's an option of, putting your breast milk in a baba. I'm just saying, you could do that too.
Yeah, I suppose. Breastfeeding is so hard.
I just hated seeing that picture of the woman covering her head with a receiving blanket trying to make a statement. And then, of course, someone taking the photo and posting it all over. And now it's viral.
That's just dumb.
I mean, I know that we're living in a world where it's not appropriate to let others tell you what to do or to make suggestions because we're all living our own truth. But, there used to be standards, societal standards that weren't horribly evil. It's okay to conform to a society standard where it keeps everyone kind of normal and not crazy, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I was reading about these two old men who got into a fight at Costco over cheese.
God, I think I heard about that.
They're 70 and 72-year-old people, and one guy got pissed because he cut in line to get a free cheeseburger, and the other guy, they went to another one, and the guy tried to do it again, and the guy was like, are you really going to do that again? He goes, yeah, watch me. And he cut in front of him to get this cheese sample, and so the guy slapped him across the head, knocked his hat and his glasses off. And I'm thinking, there was a time where you would just complain about this asshole at home later. You don't have to always be confrontational. You can just, go through your life and just deal with the fact that people are dicks. You don't
be the better man.
Yeah, it doesn't always have
road.
to be. Right. Whatever happened to that? It's like, how about we just let you be an asshole? Everybody sees you're one. And then we just move on with our lives. You're an asshole. You do this all the time. We don't have to make everything a confrontation, do we? If I saw, for example, the same thing, going back to the breastfeeding, if I saw a woman whip out her boob and expose it to the public and fed her baby, I would judge her in my own way and I would move on with my life. I would not make it a thing. Seriously, it's just, I don't understand. Everybody's got their own level of understanding now, or, everybody's got their level of what is acceptable behavior, and we're all publicly declaring it to everyone, apparently.
I guess that's true. I think it comes back to how comfortable you are in your own skin, and I am not comfortable in my own skin. So,
I have really large breasts.
Yes.
And so for me, I know what it looks like when I wear something that's low cut or whatever. It looks really sexy, but not at Target.
Right.
So I am very conscious of the kinds of tops I wear when I go out day to day. It is my own self-regulation because I can do whatever I want. If I want to enjoy the stares of men and women judging me for my large boobs and my cleavage, well, that's fine. But I generally don't do that. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Now, I've seen women with boobs like me who absolutely let it all hang out and, they have no problem with it. That's fine. But I don't do that. So I think that might have something to do with my opinion on the breastfeeding. But still, I don't like the whole social media aspect to it, It's just not my thing.
I don't think we're alone. I think there's other people who are equally uncomfortable. They just don't say anything because it's not the popular,
It's not the popular opinion.
Right.
I just wish that there was sometimes, not always, like I was listening to a podcast and they're like, times have certainly changed. Women were sex objects. They were not looked at as equals. But Sean Connery has been quoted twice as saying that if a woman gets out of control, a little slap is fine.
Oh.
I know. And now he's in his 70s, maybe older. Is he older?
I don't know.
Not sure. So in 1965, he was interviewed in Playboy magazine, and he said, an open-handed slap is justified if all other alternatives fail, and there has been plenty of warning. If a woman's a bitch or hysterical or bloody-minded continually, then I'd do it. Can you even imagine?
It just depends on where.
Now, this I don't know if I agree with. He goes, I don't agree with any of it. He said, there are women who take it to the wire. That's what they're looking for, the ultimate confrontation. They want a smack. This was in 1987. I think they stopped asking him about it after that because they're like, okay, clearly this dude is okay with...
We don't want to ruin this guy's reputation.
Forever. I mean, he's got an Indiana Jones to do, so we need to stop. We need to stop or no one's going to want to listen to him anymore. But I was thinking about it and I'm like, God, if I was fighting with my husband or a man and he smacked me, after the shock wore off, I would beat him about the head so violently. I can't even imagine. I know you and I have talked. It's like if a woman hits a man, be prepared.
Sure, yeah.
Don't think that if you don't think you can get away with hitting a man because and not have any kind of repercussions. I would hope that a man has more control, but be prepared because not all men respond accordingly. They might hit you back.
I would think so.
But if a man hit me, well, I told you what happened the one time a guy muscled me around, right?
No.
I was dating this guy. He was super cute. And yes, but he was a loser. And I realized he was a loser. And I was like, you know what? I need to go. It's late. I got work in the morning, whatever. And he said, no, you need to stay. I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm leaving. I have to go. And so he grabbed me. And he grabbed me by the shoulder and the neck and he threw me down on the bed to make me stay. He wasn't going to rape me. He just wanted me to stay. He did that. And like I told you at the beginning, something happens when some women would run and other women would stay and fight. I blindly picked up his baseball bat and hit him as hard as I could in his shoulder arm region because he had just had shoulder surgery.
Ow.
I know, but needless to say, I got out.
Yeah. And
never heard from him again.
I'm surprised you didn't crack him in the head.
I couldn't. He was taller than me, obviously. So, but that's what I do when a man tries to get physical. Yeah. Is I hurt as badly as I can. And I have no regrets. I did look him up once. He lives in Washington now. So, yeah. Or Canada. Something like that. But anyway... Yeah, so times have changed, but, I wouldn't mind if you got a little modest with the boob whipping outing thinging. That's just my thing. But I'm glad we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of kids, the one cool thing about your kids growing up, because there's so many heartbreaking things about it when they grow up, is you get to take them wine tasting.
Oh.
And so we took Mackenzie, who's 22, we took her wine tasting to some of our places in Sutter Creek and up in the foothills. So we took her, we had a really good time, but a couple of things happened. So we went to this little restaurant across the way and we all ordered, I had iced tea and stuff like that. And the waitress literally ignored me. She refilled their drinks and not mine. And I looked at Daryl and I go, what's going on? Like, did you notice that? He goes, well, I'm going to say something. I'm like, no. Let's do a test. Let's see if she comes back. And I put my drink out because it was almost empty. Totally ignored it. I'm like, do I know her? Because see, that's my number one thing. It's like, do I, and I put us we were able to pick our own table. So I put us in kind of like a corner because Mackenzie and I kind of have sailor mouths.
Oh, right.
I I never like to be in a big area where there's a lot of people, because I know that we don't even know that we say the F word sometimes or whatever. So I just figure if I'll be safe and put us in a little corner. So we did. And then this ugly little family, and I mean, Paula, they were so ugly. They came in and sat right across from us. Now, luckily, the three of them just sat on their phones. They literally weren't even talking to each other. So I doubt they heard what we were saying. So I noticed this woman was brutally ignoring me and my need for more iced tea. And so I finally, the second time she ignored me, I looked at Daryl and I said, did I fuck her boyfriend or something? Like, what happened? And Kenzie's laughing, and she said something in the car. She goes, Mom, I don't think it was a personal fuck you. I'm like, are you sure? Because it sure felt like it. She's like, no, I don't think so. So we're sitting there and we're just, chit-chatting. And Daryl, of course, he's like, Jamie Lynn, there's a child over there. You can't say those things. And I'm like, what? Are you censoring me? He's like, no, but there's a child over there. I'm like, she's 12. She's heard it. It's fine. And if they hate it, they can move. I was like, honestly, they literally, it's like those people in the movie theater when there's like every empty seat and they sit right in front of you or right next to you. Those idiots. That's who this family was. So I didn't care.
How much wine had you had by now?
A glass. One glass. That's it.
All right.
And then I had iced tea and water. So we're sitting there and all of a sudden, Paula, I swear to God, there was a spider on the ceiling.
How bad did you scream?
I just went, holy shit, and Daryl's like, what? I go, there's a spider. And okay, and this is a restaurant that used to have, like, it was an old house, and so they removed the top floor, so you couldn't reach the ceiling. It was like 40 feet high.
Oh.
So, but I could see it, and it was being aggressive, and it was running around right above our table, and I said, we have to go. We can't stay. Because Daryl's like, I can't get anything. I go, we're leaving. It's aggressive. We're out of here. So I ran out of the restaurant.
You're nuts.
Only one glass. Only
Thank
one glass.
God.
So we go to the wine. There's a winery across where we have a membership. So we had to pick up some wine. It had been a long time. And so we went over there. And the wine owner runs his tasting store as well, because it's a very small winery, but we love it there. And so apparently, I like him, according to Kenzie and Daryl, which I didn't realize.
Is he old?
No, He's not. He's probably in his 50s, but...
Okay.
So we walk in, and of course, this is what happens. We're going in, and Kenzie's like, well, maybe... Because we were trying to get to one more winery to pick up some wine before we went home, and so we really couldn't spend a lot of time in the store. And I said, well, Dad's the one that gets chatty. And he starts like being shown historical photos on the wall and stuff. He's like Paul, our stepdad, who becomes friends with everyone, right? And so Kenzie goes, well, maybe you and I should just sit in the car and wait. Dad will pick up the wine and we'll just go. And I said, no, let's go in. It's a really cute little place. So we walk in, and I apparently am the conversation starter. So I'm starting to have this discussion. Next thing I know, I'm looking at pictures of him from Japan on his phone.
Oh.
And he had posted some photos of he and his wife traveling to Japan because his son is in the Navy and he was there stationed. Mm-hmm. And so they went to visit him. I said, yeah, I saw some of your photos on Facebook. It looked like a really crazy trip. He goes, oh, yeah, it was amazing. And so we're talking about it. And Kenzie looks at Dad and she's like, you're the chatty one. I see. And so I'm talking and he goes, no, there was a thing. He goes, first of all, and why does this happen? I don't know, but he's like, yeah, there's these cool spas there where everyone's just naked. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He goes, and some of them are even co-ed and they have like their kids with them and stuff. And I said, yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. He goes, you get over it after a while. And I'm like, yes, I'm sure you do. I wouldn't, but I'm sure you were fine. And so he's showing me all these pictures and he goes, my wife and I they have these spas where you can sit in like green tea or sake or whatever. And they're like these big barrels that you can sit in. He goes, but you can't have clothes on. And I said, no. And apparently I was like, no, I've never seen that. And Daryl's like, oh my God. He's like, we have to get her out of here. She's literally flirting with this man. I didn't feel like I was flirting. Apparently I was. Yes. Oh. He's very handsome. He's a handsome gent. But I didn't think I was. I thought I was just being friendly, but apparently
you know what?
It was more than that.
The same thing happens to me too. God forbid should you be nice to someone, then suddenly you're labeled with a scarlet letter.
Right. A giant F. You're a flirt. And I said, I wasn't even. I was genuinely curious about it. Daryl was like, I think you like him. And Kenzie's like, yeah, you do. And I go, no, I do.
Of course I do. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. I'm like, why? See, but this is why I don't wear cleavage revealing clothing when I go to Target. It's the same thing. It's like, I'm just being chatty and being myself. He goes, well, you're very charming. The guy didn't say that. Daryl said that. And I said, well, I'm just being myself. That's all. That's it. But anyway, I didn't get to see the guy naked. He just showed me from, like the waist up. But of course, and I'm like, I can't imagine sake not burning. And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's mostly water. And I'm like, okay, good. Because I don't think I would sit naked in a vat of sake.
Do you think you could get drunk from sitting in sake?
I don't know. I didn't even think about that.
Like it going into your pores?
Your butt?
No, your pores, you gross person.
Well, if you have to be naked, I mean, I don't know. If you have a relaxed sphincter, maybe. It's like, I'm going to give myself an enema here.
Do they wash it out before they put someone else in?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
It is not a communal thing. It is something you pay to do, and they create the environment for you in these barrels.
God, because when you said sphincter, I'm thinking, oh my God, is there fecal matter in there?
Oh, Paula, I'm sure. Standards in other countries are not the same as they are here. Although, I mean, I've heard some stories about spas around here. So you never know. I would not sit, it's very common if you go to these steams where you have to sit, you're nude. You don't wear clothes in these steam baths or these steam showers. And it's communal. And so you sit, and then I'm like, I couldn't sit on tile that other people had sat on ever.
My butt would be so clenched. I would be have my hands, and I'd be like a little elevated.
I'd be like, it's like a giant toilet. And it's so humid in there. I would be so concerned about growth and things. There's not enough towel or things, and it'd have to be my towel. I'd have to wear flip-flops. I would be uncomfortable. It would not be good. And can you imagine just the odors of other people's bodies?
What does that smell? Is that toxins? What is that?
Oh, sorry, I had too much tequila last night. It's like you would smell it all. Can you imagine if you had way too many whiskeys and then you get into a steam bath with others?
I'm allergic to whiskey. It has gluten in it.
Is there weed in it? I'm swelling. Yeah, it would not be good. But anyway, he's a nice person, and that's all. And then something along the same line, we were watching the Giants game, and Madison Bumgarner was pitching. Mm-hmm. And he is on my free pass list for sure. And then there was another dude, and he was a really big dude. And Daryl, he goes, I think you have a type. I do? He goes, yeah, I think you have a type. And I go, what is it? He goes, big and burly. He goes, have you ever dated anyone like that? And I said, no, I haven't actually. I go, if I have, I don't think you and I would be married. Apparently. I didn't realize.
I have a type.
I didn't, you know what though? I think the type is a fantasy type, because after talking it through, I said, yeah, physically, it's a very primal sexual attraction. But the reality is, he goes, Jamie, he blows snot rockets and stuff. I said, yeah, exactly. Can you imagine me being with someone who likes to go rip up trees and is always sweaty and smelly and dirty and blows snot rockets in the yard? And, no. I mean, no.
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
You can only think of doing one thing with that guy.
I know. So, do you have a type?
Well, that's what I was trying to think. Typically, they have brown hair.
Yeah, I don't like blondes very much.
They have nice eyes of sort. It doesn't necessarily have to be blue or green, but just nice eyes. And then,
but is there anyone, whether it's a celebrity or otherwise, where it's just only you have a female heart on over him. And it's like, I don't even care about anything other than that I want to absolutely have sex with you. And that's it. I mean, Leo DiCaprio, I mean, do you like Italians?
You know what? I think I'm discovering that I do like Italians, and I didn't know it.
That's so interesting. See how that is? So there are good things to getting older. You start to realize what you like.
I know.
Anyway, speaking of nothing, it's time for our Ugly and Awkward Moments of the Week, sponsored by lipandclip.com. Do you have one?
No.
You don't have an awkward moment?
I don't. It's been a slow week. I don't know what to say.
Okay, so I have an awkward moment.
Okay.
I thought the wine owner was the awkward moment, but that was just me. That was just me being myself. So I've talked about it like briefly on the show about a month or so ago. Remember when I was coughing on with that one episode a while ago?
Yeah.
I got really, really sick. And
yes.
I was sick for about 3 weeks, which is weird. Okay, so here's the good and bad. The good part is I lost some weight. The bad part is it's all coming back because it was sick weight. It wasn't real. So I'm really, like, it's really pissing me off. But because I'm feeling better, I'm back into working out again.
Good.
So this week I've been working out more. I've been doing my yoga again and cardio, and I'm feeling better about it. So what I do, though, is I try really hard to eat a protein breakfast, not... That sounds dirty, actually, now that I think about it. God.
That's gross.
That's not what I meant, but I have a dirty mind. But I try to eat something not cereal or something. I try to eat something like leftovers from the night before. So I had made a tomato salad. So I had this little baby ramekin of tomato salad from the night before. And I said, I'm going to eat that, and then I'm going to do my workout. And so I took it upstairs, and I set it on, I have a little tray, and I set it on the tray on my bed. And so I was going to sit down and plug in all of my phone and all that stuff and then get dressed and work out. So I set the thing on my bed, the ramekin of salad, and I sit down, and my fat ass creates where the tray now is dipping down toward the bed, and the thing rolls and spills all over my leg, all over the fucking quilt. And I was like, are you kidding me? Really, Jamie Lynn? Really? That's it. And so, of course, I try to get up, and then little pieces of mozzarella spill onto the floor. And I'm like, there's like 5 pieces of tomato, and they all spilled out. And I'm like, well, you know what? This is what you get, you fat ass. Get up! So I cleaned everything up, changed my clothes, and worked out really, really hard. After that, I was so mad at myself. I'm like, I'm covered in olive oil. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, jeez.
Eat at the table like a human. Stop acting like you can do things.
That's terrible. Did you get olive oil on your comforter?
Yes, I had to strip the bed. I had to strip the bed. I had to use OxyClean on my nice duvet. It was a nightmare. It was a 2-day ordeal.
That sucks.
2-day ordeal for thinking that I can put a bowl on a tray and then sit on the bed without it becoming a national disaster. So, anyway, I was really embarrassed.
God. So I finally got my period after God knows how many months. But, of course, you know when you get your period and you haven't had it in a while, it's just like the freaking floodgates of Noah.
It's like Carrie.
Basically. And so by like the 3rd day, I was laying on the couch and Victor's like, are you all right? And I'm like, I think I'm a pint low.
Seriously. Remember that day you were over at my house and you're like, are you feeling okay? You're really pale. I'm like, I'm hemorrhaging. I'm sure of it. I'm bleeding through everything. Yeah, it's true. I was thinking about that. I told Daryl, I said, you know, I have heard that the older you get that your periods get worse. And I said, I think that's nature's way of saying you're going to look forward to menopause. Trust us. You will want it.
I wonder when you go into menopause. Like, how do you know?
I don't know. Well, I've had my hormone levels checked, and I'm nowhere near it, unfortunately. I'm fully able to conceive children if I wanted to. The thing is that our family, the females on our mom's side, everybody's had hysterectomies by the age of 30. Oh. So we really have no idea what the natural course would be.
No one's actually gone through with it.
Well, they go through with it really prematurely.
Right.
So I don't know if I'll go through with that or not. I don't know if I'll subject Daryl to my menopause naturally, or if I'll just take the pill.
I would just do the pill.
Yeah, and maybe by the time I get there will be like better options that don't cause breast cancer. That'd be great.
Oh, does the pill cause breast cancer?
Hell yes.
Oh.
So you can't be on it forever. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully by then it won't be so treacherous. But, because I'm so easygoing.
Yeah.
Sure won't be hard at all.
You're not uptight at all.
No, not at all. In fact, we were picking up Malia from an event last weekend. And Paula, I hate how he drives, and it's getting, worse. My hatred is getting worse. And I'm almost not sure what to do about it. It's coming to a crossroads where it's am I going to be that bitch wife that says, I'm driving? You're just going to have to deal with it.
I've just stopped going places with him.
Oh, that's a good idea. I could do that. I don't know, man. It's not always, but man, a lot of it. And it's the surface street stuff. Freeway too. It's all of it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I just don't want to be that woman that, emasculates her husband and is like, no, I'm driving now.
That's how it is too when you see a couple driving and the guy's sitting in the passenger seat.
Looking feeble.
I know.
Just staring out the window like a dog on its way to the vet.
His weenie is one of the antenna balls.
Yes. That nutsack on the back of the truck is his. It's my wife mounted that. God. Now she drives. Yeah, I don't want to be that woman. I really don't. I mean, no. I figure I'm just going to have to deal with it. Because it's just one of those things. I don't know why driving is so one of those last things that a man wants to give up ever. It's control, I think.
Well, yeah, it's like a power thing.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, I think that's a wrap, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's a wrap for this week. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the previous shows and today's show. Please be sure to check out Amazon and do your school shopping and backpack shopping there. And also check out Avon for your back-to-school makeup shopping. We appreciate you supporting our show through our website links and doing all of your shopping through there. So we will see you on Wednesday. Bye! Bye!
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.